Yeah. So yesterday, the paper, we discussed some of the questions. Today, we continue the remaining questions in the PG entrance previous year question paper, that is 2025. So here we see the question, white rust of crucifers is caused by the pathogen. So yesterday also we discussed about some questions related to the plant pathogens. Here they are asking about the plant pathogen which causes the white rust of crucifers. Crucifers are also called as Brassicaceae family. Okay, so here we see the Colletotrichum falcatum, Albugo candida, Cercospora, Penicillium notatum. So these are the options given for the pathogen which causes the two persons are again joining. Okay, so here the question is, which pathogen causes the white rust disease in crucifers? So Colletotrichum falcatum. First we see Colletotrichum falcatum. It causes red rot disease in sugarcane. Colletotrichum falcatum causes red rot disease in sugarcane. And Albugo candida. Albugo candida, you know, which causes the white rust disease in the crucifers. In Amaranthus family also, not only in crucifers, Amaranthus family members also. In Amaranthus, Totokura antaru kada, dantlo kuda. So Albugo candida, it causes white rust disease because it forms white colored pustules. The conidia which are released, they appear in white color. So it appears like a white rust. And one more option given, Cercospora. You know, Cercospora in, these are all fungal pathogens. Colletotrichum falcatum, Albugo candida, Cercospora. So in Cercospora, there are two species, Cercospora arachidicola and Cercospora personata, which causes ticker disease in the groundnut, Cercospora. And Penicillium notatum, it is not a pathogen. So, you know, this is very important for the production of the penicillin antibiotic. Okay, penicillin is the antibiotic which was discovered by Alexander Fleming. He got the Nobel Prize for that. So why I am discussing all this? Because they may ask different questions from the same options here. They may sometimes they may ask Colletotrichum falcatum. It causes which disease causes. So you should remember that it causes red rot disease in sugarcane. And Cercospora arachidicola, Cercospora personata. These two Cercospora species cause ticker disease in groundnut. And Penicillium notatum is not a pathogen. It is a fungus, but it is not a pathogen. It is a beneficial organism. It is useful for the production of the penicillin, which was discovered by Alexander Fleming. He got the Nobel Prize. So all this information very useful to you. But here the right answer to the question, white rust of crucifers is caused by Albugo candida. So it causes several like skin diseases in human beings also. Albugo candida, candida, it is a fungus which causes several diseases, thermal diseases. Okay, so next, Mucor belongs to the class. So yesterday we discussed about the algae, Cyanophyceae members. Now today all these questions are focused about the fungi. Okay, so Mucor belongs to the class. Mucor also, there are several families in the fungi like Ascomycotina. The organisms belong to Ascomycotina are called as Ascomycetes, and the fungal organisms which belong to Basidiomycotina, they are called as Basidiomycetes, and Deuteromycotina, those organisms belong to Deuteromycotina are called as Deuteromycetes, and zygomycetes. So zygomycetes is the organisms, the fungal organisms which belong to zygomycotina. They are called as zygomycetes. So here the question is, mucor. Mucor belongs to which class? So it belongs to zygomycetes. And previously we discussed about the cercospora. Cercospora belongs to the class Deuteromycetes. They are also called as fungi imperfecti. They may ask sometimes, which of the following called as fungi imperfecti? Deuteromycotina or Deuteromycetes, because there is no sexual reproduction observed in these fungal organisms, whether there is there or not. But until now, the sexual reproduction is not observed in this class of the fungal organisms. So they are called as fungi imperfecti, Deuteromycotina organisms. So Cercospora, Arachidicola, Cercospora, personata, they belong to this class. And Basidiomycetes or Basidiomycotina, you know, which organism? Puccinia graminis, which belongs to Basidiomycetes. And also, you know, our mushrooms also, they belong to Basidiomycetes. Okay, Ascomycetes, you know, there are several beneficial organisms which belong to Ascomycetes. Earlier we discussed about the Penicillium notatum. It belongs to Ascomycetes or Ascomycotina. Yeast, also called as Saccharomyces, it also belongs to Ascomycetes or Ascomycotina. So the question here is related to mucor, belongs to the class. Sometimes next time they may ask about the related to Ascomycetes, like the Penicillium belongs to which class, or yeast belongs to which class? They belong to Ascomycetes. Okay, and Basidiomycetes, Puccinia belongs to Basidiomycetes. Mushrooms belongs to Basidiomycetes. And Deuteromycetes, Cercospora belongs to Deuteromycetes. Okay, mucor belongs to Zygomycetes. Okay, so next question is, the daughter cell with a single polar scar in Saccharomyces repeats. So already we discussed about the Saccharomyces, which are also called as yeast, common yeast. There are two species, main species in yeast. One is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It is also called as budding yeast because it propagates by budding, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. And another species is called as Saccharomyces. It undergoes fission. So there are two types of the divisions in Saccharomyces in yeast. So based on that, there are two species, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It is also called as budding yeast, and Saccharomyces, which is also called as fission yeast because it undergoes fission. Okay, so budding and fission, these are the two types of the divisions, two types of the reproduction methods in the yeast. So here the question is, the daughter cell with a single polar scar in Saccharomyces repeats. That means it undergoes next division. Which kind of division it undergoes? Fission, fusion, budding, and it dies. They don't die. Okay, so they one after one they undergo divisions. Okay, and here it might be wrongly ticked as a right answer, but fission is not related to Saccharomyces. Fission is related to Saccharomyces. Okay, and fusion, there is no fusion here. And budding, the right answer is budding. Saccharomyces cerevisiae, it undergoes division by budding. There is a difference between budding and fission. Budding is always unequal. Okay, what is the difference between budding and fission? Budding is always unequal. That means the two daughter cells which are produced are not equal in size. That is called as budding. At one side, the bud, it forms a small sized bud and it separates. It forms a scare on the surface of the saccharomyces. So that type of the division is called as bud. Initially, it produces small bud and gradually it increases in size. That is bud. But in case of the fission, the cell, mother cell, it undergoes equal division at the center. Immediately undergoes a division at the center. That is called fission. But in case of the budding, the cell really it does not divide. It forms a small bud and it increases. So that is the difference between the budding and fission. Here, the right answer is budding. And penicillium, the next question is, penicillium exhibits a fruiting body known as. So penicillium, as we discussed earlier, it belongs to the family Saccharomyces. Okay, Saccharomyces. And we also discussed about the Penicillium notatum. It is a beneficial fungal organism. It is also called as wonder drug. Penicillin. Penicillin is it is called as wonder drug because it saved the millions of people's lives. So it is called as wonder drug. And also there are some other penicillium species which are beneficial. Economic importance of penicillium, you must read it because some of the species are useful for the production of the different types of the cheese varieties also, which have a lot of commercial value in the Western countries. Cheese. So penicillium, it usually produces a fruiting body after the reproduction. That fruiting body, what is the fruiting body? Here, apothecium, cleistothecium, perithecium, and ascostroma. These are different kinds of the fruiting bodies. You see in the ascomycotina, you see different types of the fruiting bodies. I will show you. Yeah, here you see cleistothecium, perithecium, apothecium, and pseudothecium. These are different types of the fruiting bodies which are produced by the mycelium. So this mycelium, they form a woven structure. Though those mycelia form the structures. These are called as fruiting bodies. Okay, just like mushrooms. Mushrooms also mushrooms belongs to the another family, that is Bastiomycetes. It also shows an umbrella-like structure, that is a fruiting body. And in case of the others like Ascomycotina, we find cleistothecium. It is a closed structure that is called as cleistothecium. Perithecium and pseudothecium. These two are the flask-like structure. And apothecium, it is a saucer-like or cup-like structure. These are very important with respect to the competitive exams. Most of the times they ask about the cleistothecium, perithecium, apothecium, pseudothecium. So you must read these, okay, in your textbooks. Okay, so you must read different kinds of the fruiting bodies. Here it is given Aspergillus nidulans. Here cleistothecium is present. And Perinomycetes, Neurospora crassa. Pezaiza, we find apothecium. And Cochleolobus, so here we find pseudothecium. So the question here is the fruiting body of penicillium. The right answer is cleistothecium. Cleistothecium is a fruiting body which is spherical in structure, round in shape, and it is a closed structure. Okay, cleistothecium is a closed structure. It is observed in case of the penicillium. The fruiting body which is observed in the penicillium is cleistothecium. Next, the secondary host of Puccinia graminis triticeae is. So you know Puccinia, which belongs to the family Bastiomycetes. We already discussed. Puccinia graminis. Okay, it causes rust disease in the wheat. Okay, rust disease in the wheat is caused by Puccinia graminis. It also causes smut disease. Okay, in other Poaceae members, smut disease and rust disease. So these are the different kinds of the disease caused by Puccinia. And Puccinia graminis tritice, it causes rust disease in wheat. So here it needs two hosts. One is called as primary host, another is called as secondary host. Just like malaria. Actually, primary host is human being. Secondary host is mosquito. It needs a vector. That vector is called as secondary host. Okay. The victim or the main host is called as primary host. Here the victim or the primary host is wheat and secondary host is barberry. So barberry, it is a weed. It usually grows surrounding the wheat crops. So when there is wheat crop is harvested, when there is no more wheat crop there, then at that time in the gap period, it takes shelter in barberry weeds plants. So it is the one of the mechanism to eradicate the disease, rust disease, is to remove the barberry plants surrounding the wheat crops, so that there will be no host, secondary host available to the Puccinia. Okay. And so here you understand the answer to this question is barberry. It is the secondary host to the Puccinia graminis. And another question is the multicellular scales called as amphigastria are found. Now we entered into the bryophytes. So algae and fungi both are completed. Now the questions from the bryophytes we are seeing here. Amphigastria, the multicellular scales called as amphigastria. Usually in our books it is not referred mostly. So you see all in the bryophytes, there are liverworts, okay, hornworts and mosses. Mostly these bryophytes are divided into liverworts. These are the primitive bryophytes. Primitive bryophytes are called as liverworts, like Rixia, Markamtia, because their thallus, because there is a transition, evolution from the algae to bryophytes. Algae, the structure, the body of the algae is called as thallus. It is an undifferentiated structure. It is not different. Body is not differentiated into roots, stem, or leaves. That is called as thallus. So same is continued. The thallus structure is continued in the primitive bryophytes like Puccinia and Markamtia. Okay. So in not Puccinia, Rixia and Markamtia. So here in Rixia and Markamtia, we see liver-like thallus. The lobes, we find the lobes which are similar to liver. So it is also called as hepatic apsida, since it appear in the liver shape. Liverworts are hepatic apsida. So in the liverworts, so at the ventral side, because in the structure of the thallus, at the ventral part, that means the lower part contains some kinds of the rhizoids and also multicellular scales, which are commonly called as amphigastria. Gastria means at the lower part. Okay, so they are called as amphigastria, which are present in the liverworts. They are not present in case of the hornworts and mosses. Mosses are the advanced bryophytes. Okay, in the advanced bryophytes, we don't find the scalar structures there. So the next question is the nickname of which genus is walking fern. Now we entered into the pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are also called as ferns. Okay, Lycopodium, Equisitum, Adiantum, Marsilia. These are the different pteridophytes or ferns which are observed as per our syllabus. Now we see here. So Adiantum, you see, Adiantum is called as walking fern. Why it is called walking fern? Because it produces the Adiantum is a fern, pteridophyte. It produces the leaves here, compound leaves, and whenever that tip of the compound leaf touches the ground, it produces another plant. And next, another leaf, when it touches the ground, it produces another. So they appear like walking from one place to another place. So they are called as walking ferns. And here you see some other interesting. These are also very important. Lycopodium. It is also one of the fern. Okay, present in your pteridophyte syllabus. It is the common name of the lycopodium is club moss. You should remember. I advise you to take a notes of all these things. What we are discussing, you keep one notebook with you and note down, because I am preparing all this for you, not for the one single question. Sometimes they may ask different questions. Okay, next time they may ask about the lycopodium. Which one of the following is called as club moss? That is lycopodium. Which one of the following is called as horsetail? Equisitum is called as horsetail because they appear like horsetails. Okay, so their cone, equisitum usually produces cone-like structures. Due to the presence of the cones, it appears like a tail called as horsetail. And one more advanced pteridophyte that is called as Marsilia. It is called as water fern. Usually it grows near the water. So it is called as water fern, Marsilia. So you remember these questions? Next. So you understand now? Walking fern. What is walking fern? Adiantum. Lycopodium, club moss. Equisitum, horsetail. Marsilia, water fern. Okay, you remember. And one more question. The specialized spore producing reproductive bodies in Marsilia are known as. So in Marsilia, there is one specific structure is there, and it is related to the production of the spores. Spores are released from that structure. So what is that structure called? Epicarp, hypocarp, porocarp, endocarp. So all others are wrong. The right answer is sporocarp. You know, the sporocarp is a specific structure. It contains spores. And one more thing is, you see in Lycopodium or in Equisitum, you don't find different types of the spores. All the spores usually look alike. It is called as homospory, or that condition is called as homosporous condition. But in Marsilia, we find two different kinds of the spores, smaller microspores and larger macrospores. So it is also called as heterospory or heterosporous condition. అంటే ఇందులో ఉండే స్పోర్స్ రెండు రకాలుగా ఉంటాయి. చిన్న సైజులో ఉంటే మైక్రోస్పోర్స్ అంటారు, పెద్ద సైజులో ఉంటే మ్యాక్రోస్పోర్స్. ఈ విధంగా రెండు రకాల స్పోర్స్ ఉండడాన్ని ఏమంటారంటే హెట్రోస్పోరీ, భిన్న సిద్ధ బీజత అని కూడా అంటారు అనమాట. ఓకే, మార్సీలియా ఇట్ ఇస్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఈ రెండు రకాలైన స్పోర్స్, దీస్ టూ కైండ్స్ ఆఫ్ ద స్పోర్స్ ఆర్ ప్రొడ్యూస్ ఫ్రమ్ ఏ స్ట్రక్చర్ that is specific to this plant. This structure is called as sporocarp. So Marsilia contains a sporocarp which release the spores. So next question from your stellar evolution in pteridophytes, it is very important question for your because your exam is postponed. It is going to be useful for you. It is one of the most important questions, that is the stellar evolution in pteridophytes. Here we find different kinds of the steels. Okay, actinosteel, protosteel, solenosteel, and polycyclic steel. So what they ask, the stellar organization where a number of separate steels that are one inside the other. So in a different rings, the steel are arranged in a, usually we observe in a single ring they are observed. For example, U-steel, you find U-steel in the dicot stem. There all the vascular bundles are arranged in a single ring, that is called as U-steel. The vascular bundles are arranged in a scattered condition, that is called atactosteel, that is observed in monocots. Here we find actinosteel, protosteel. These two types of the steels are observed in case of the lycopodium. Protosteel, actinosteel, okay, nakshatrakara prasanna. Plectosteel, it is not given here. Plectosteel also observed in case of the lycopodium. 2-3 different kinds of the steels are observed in case of the lycopodium. That you should remember. The species also, in which species, Lycopodium clavatum, Lycopodium volui. So they have different kinds of the steels: protosteel, plectosteel, actinosteel, all these. And you find polycyclic, that means the vascular bundles are arranged in several circles in a circular manner. One circle is surrounded by another circle outside. So, in a ring form, they are observed vascular bundles in several rings. That is called as polycyclic steel. Okay, so that is the answer. Now, once again, I will show you the different kinds of the steels here. You see, uh, so in lycopodium, we usually observe that is called as protosteel. What is protosteel? Here, there is a xylem at the center surrounded by the phloem. Okay, there is no pith or medulla at the center. So that is called as protosteel. The difference between the siphonosteel and protosteel is, in case of the siphonosteel, here we observe. Here also we observe siphonosteel. Here there is a pith or medulla at the center. That is the evolution. The process, in the process of evolution, the most primitive is protosteel. From that we see little advanced siphonosteel. In the siphonosteel we see at the center pith or medulla, and it is surrounded by xylem now, and it is surrounded by phloem. It is called ectoploic. Why? Ecto means outside. The phloem is outside to the xylem, so it is called ectoploic. Amphiploic, that means the phloem is present at the both the sides of the xylem. Xylem at the center, and it at the both sides there is a phloem, so it is called as amphiploic. Okay, and next, actinosteel. So from protosteel, actinosteel is produced. It is also one of the types of protosteel only. Okay, and here also xylem is observed, but there is no pith at the center. But xylem is a star-shaped xylem is observed. That is in case of the actinosteel. And a plectosteel, the xylem, it is cut into different plates mixed by the plectosteel. That is called plectosteel. And there is a mixed protosteel also there. In case, all these different protosteel, actinosteel, plectosteel, mixed steel, all these are observed in case of the lycopodium. Okay. In the next tier is such adiantum. There we observed amphiploic, ectoploic, all these kinds of solenosteel is present. And dictyosteel. Here, steel is divided into dictyosteel, meristeels. These are called as meristeels. That we observe in case of the terrace. And U-steel. What is U-steel? We, as I told you earlier, that is observed in dicots. Vascular bundles are arranged in ring-like form. And atactosteel, it is observed here. The vascular bundles are scattered in the ground tissue, observed in monocots. So all these are the different kinds of the steels which you study in the stellar evolution. Now we don't have much time. From next onwards, I try to take 2 classes one after one, because in June classes we are not allowed to take classes continuously. Maybe in the afternoon I take 1 class, and in the evening I take 1 more class. Now we have 8 minutes more, and one more question came from ferns. The golden fern in pteridophytes is called. Which one of the is called as golden fern? Onychium, adiantum, marsilia, equisetum. We already discussed. Adiantum is a walking fern. Marsilia is a water fern. Equisetum is a horse type. And Onychium. So sometimes you can exclude it. So you might have not read about the Onychium. But you know, adiantum already, it is a walking fern. Marsilia, it is a water fern. Equisetum is a horse tail. So you can exclude all this, what you know. So now you can come to Vanaityam. It is called as golden fawn because it is surrounded by the gold colored mucilaginous substance. So it is called as golden fawn. Next, the living fossil among gymnosperms is, among the gymnosperms, there is a living fossil that is most important. You might have known it. That is ginkgo biloba. So you see Cycas urcinalis, Neetum vula, Pinus roxburghi, all these are living only. Cycas and ginkgo biloba, it is most important. It is one of the most important medicinal plant, also useful for the treatment of cancer also. Ginkgo is medicinally very important, and it grows mostly in China. And why it is called living fossil? Because ginkgo is a genus. It contains several species. Actually, ginkgo is one of the oldest plants. Okay, it is formed before the dinosaurs. Okay, before the dinosaurs, before 270 million years back, ginkgo is it origin. The origin of the ginkgo belongs to 270 years, 270 million years back. Okay, so before the dinosaurs. So most of the species belong to ginkgo are already extinct. There are no more. But the only species available in ginkgo genus is ginkgo biloba. And we know about other ginkgo species by the fossil studies. There are so many fossils available, so that we know that all of them were already extinct. Only this one is available. And one of the striking feature is ginkgo, it has not undergone any structural modification after several million years also. It is conserved. The structure, it does not undergo any modification, or evolutionarily it is not modified. Even after several million years, the structure is conserved or preserved. It is similar to the extinct forms. So it is called as living fossil. So next, ginkgo is the living fossil that you should remember. And Canada balsam is obtained from Canada balsam. Usually it is a sticky substance. Okay, just like Fevicol, glue. It is mostly used in preparation of the permanent slides. Okay, in making the slides, we use cover slips. Okay, so for the cover slip, we add Canada balsam and we attach it, we fix it to the slide, and it permanently stays as a permanent slide. So Canada balsam is used for the slide preparation. Abies balsamia, which is the one belongs to gymnosperms. Abies balsamia, it is one of the gymnosperms. You must read the economic importance of gymnosperms also. Okay, so Abies balsamia is used to prepare the Canada balsam. And next, the xylem of Pinus lax. The xylem of Pinus, in the gymnosperms, except the neetum, there are some primitive like the Cycas, Pinus. All these are the primitive gymnosperms compared to neetum. Among the gymnosperms, neetum is most advanced. Only in the neetum we find the xylem vessels or tracheae. We don't find xylem vessels in a xylem of Pinus. So that is the answer. In the xylem of Pinus, there are no xylem vessels, but there is xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers, and tracheids. Tracheids are primitive compared to the xylem vessels, which are found in Pinus. Xylem vessels are found only in neetum. And next question is the replacement of organic matter by minerals and fossil turning into the stone. So now we come to the fossilization. So you see here, here you see petrified fossil. What is this petrified fossil? It appears like a marble, you see. Actually, it is a fossil. How this is formed? This petrification of a fossil. Because once upon a time, it is a tree. Here, the tissue of the living tissue of the tree is replaced by the mineral matter, mineral organic matter. Now, in that form, it is preserved. All the organic matter, plants organic living matter, is replaced by the mineral matter like silica. So this is called as petrified or petrification. It can be preserved for a long time. So this is very important. So next. So here you see the replacement of organic matter by minerals and fossil turning into a stone. The fossil turning into a stone because of the mineral matter. That is called as petrification. And next question is the study of freshwater ecosystem is. What is the study of freshwater ecosystem? Freshwater. So that is the called as limnology. Limnology is the study of the freshwater ecosystem. The plants, hydrophytes, the plants which grow in freshwater ecosystem is called as hydrophytes. So that study is called as limnology. And here we come to the classification, taxonomy. So there are different kinds of the classification you already studied. Artificial system of classification, natural system of classification, phylogenetic system of classification. Here, the artificial system of classification, we know, Linnaeus, and natural system of classification was proposed by, you know, very well, George Bentham and J.D. Hooker. They proposed natural system of, and one more person also, De Candolle. De Candolle's classification also called as natural system of classification. Here, Engler and Prantle's classification is called as phylogenetic system of class. John Hutchinson also proposed phylogenetic system of classification, and Takhtajan also he proposed phylogenetic system of classification. And you must read the books written by Engler and Prantle. Okay, The Naturalist Plangen Familien is the book written by Engler and Prantle, and Bentham and Hooker, because it is given in our books, Bentham and Hooker. Okay, so all these you should read all these books. Okay. Next, we lack time. There is only 1 more minute. Okay. So you know Genera Plantarum and Species Plantarum. Who wrote that books? Species Plantarum was written by Linnaeus, and Genera Plantarum written by Bentham and Hooker. Okay. So you must read all this.